And welcome into another edition of the Backstage Pass. We just keep, I guess, pumping them out faster than you can download out there, no doubt. Just a couple of weeks away now from CRS 2022 with yours truly and Jeff McMahon and Kirsty Krause at the Omni Hotel. Some shows will be recorded, some shows will be live out there too as well. So a lot of surprises coming up there from the week. Music City, just some great artists we're going to sit down with. Of course, Shannon Doa, Craig Campbell's going to come by, the band Exile. Jesse G, Dallas Remington, a whole lot more, and just more and more keep getting added to the fray, no doubt. Back here with Jeff McMahon on the Backstage Pass, presented by our good friends over at Bangtail Whiskey and our friends at MitchMax.com, and of course Hank Jr. Productions. Pleased to welcome in our Thursday guest. It's hard to believe another week's about to fly by, but she's here with us and definitely love her music. Nashville recording artist Elizabeth Lyons on the show. Elizabeth, how you doing?
Hey, good. It is raining, so excuse the weather. I'm in New Orleans right now, and I'm working on set. The AMC's TV show that's coming out, Interview with a Vampire, and so I'm taking my late lunch break. We're shooting nights, so it's weird. But I'm in the car and I can't perform live today. But
so if you're taking a lunch break in the middle of the day, I guess you're not one of the vampires.
I am not. No,
Okay.
I am behind the scenes. So I work as the assistant to Roland Jones, the showrunner, who's done like Friday Night Lights and Weeds, and then my other boss is executive producer Mark Johnson, who has done Breaking Bad, Narnia, and The Notebook and The Rookie, and our director for the pilot is Alan Taylor, who has done like all TV shows, Mad Men, Sex and the City, Sopranos, West Wing, Game of Thrones. We have an amazing like crew.
Wow.
And I'm thrilled to be able to be on this and doing this in addition to obviously releasing a full-length album coming out soon. And
sure.
With COVID, it was like the industry for music is, Jeff, I'm sure you know, is just completely shut down in terms of touring. And
Yeah.
My major in college was film and TV, and so I turned to doing this too, which I'm loving it. It's so much fun.
Good.
I love your story and the passion, just the and it's kind of rubbed off in the music and the latest single always out there across all the digital platforms. Of course, the music video comes out February 21st, and it's kind of cool because I love the fact, like you said, the expression, everything you do in your song.
You're kind of freezing up there, Brandon, I believe. Has he frozen for you?
Yeah, it's frozen for me, but
well,
not my internet, but
no. I think you and I are both together, so you're freezing up on us, pal. You back with us?
Well, I guess I have a little storm coming through my area too right now. We got some bad weather coming through, so I do apologize for that. Now I was going to say, Liz,
crazy weather all across the United States. So
yeah,
bless everyone.
It seems like it. Just talk about, Midwestern born, raised, moving to Nashville at 18, interning at a publishing company there, music publishing company. Seems like that love for music for you has been around for a long time.
Yes, from a very young age. I've always loved music. I grew up playing piano like Jeff here, and I grew up doing musical theater and then didn't have the confidence to pursue music as an artist, to be an artist really. And so I kind of entered the business on the business side of the industry and was encouraged by my boss at Denny Carr and Arthur Buonahora to pursue releasing my first album. And my first album came out on iTunes and became an all-time bestseller under $8. And my first single charted on Music Row and Billboard, and then was played on SiriusXM The Highway, and started booking myself at shows and opening for artists that I grew up listening to. And here we are, like 10 years later, still doing it.
And that first record, was that the Elizabeth Lyons record? Was that what happened? What had come out right when you and I met, actually touring?
Yes. Yes, exactly. We met when I opened up for Josh Grayson. It was one of the first big artists I opened up for at Joe's on Weed Street. And Ed Warm took a risk on me, and he, let a hometown girl play his famous country bar, and the rest is history. And since then, I think I've played or worked with him and his team for like six or 7 times, I want to say. So it's pretty great.
Good.
Tell me about this too, because
But
I know
that
you
was a
kept
fun
busy.
night, Jeff. That was really fun.
Yeah, I remember meeting you that night, and because I was especially I didn't realize that was your first project, but I did note how intentional you were and how specific with what you were about how you were going about getting things set up, preparing for the release, what your kind of course was even then. I don't remember the specifics of what you said, but I do remember how clear it was that it was not just haphazard something to do. This is fun. We'll see if I can figure this out. You had a plan, which I'm sure has been sharpened and, changed along the way. But even at that point, you had a plan.
Yeah, I feel like nothing in life kind of like happens unless there is a plan. I mean, it's fun to like things happen where it's like sporadic and it's meant to be. But I do feel like I definitely have always had a plan, especially in the beginning of my career, knowing that so many people were trying to do this. It was like really crazy. So it was like, I need to be intentional about everything I do and how I do it. And, I think Taylor Swift really brought me down to Nashville, but Florida Georgia Line, I saw them before Cruise came out, and I saw them play at 12th and Porter. And
Right.
I was like, me and a few of their friends. And sure enough, I saw them take off and how they use social media to garnish this following and to get the song going. And I kind of copied what they were doing and made it my own. And I had some success on MySpace prior to the Elizabeth Lyons EP, which gave me confidence to invest in. Yeah. So I put out some songs that I had recorded of songs that I wrote, but songs that I actually like Emily Shackleton or Kelly Archer wrote, and I reached out to them to see if I could just cut them and put them out on MySpace. And I got a lot of plays on MySpace, and then that helped me to get confidence to be like, oh, like I'm gonna do this and actually release an album to make money and stuff like that. So yeah.
Well, so you've said twice now you were talking about building the confidence to perform. But I've also heard you say more than once that you did 18 musical theater shows in school. I've not heard you say which roles you played, so I'm curious about some of that. But if you've got some favorites, but how is it that you did all of that performing, yet you still had so many reservations about performing?
Good question. So I went to a really competitive public high school called New Trier High School, and there's 1,200 kids per grade, and it's uber competitive. And so the main actor, the girl who got like the leads, is literally sings in the London Opera. And while I was there,
Wow.
we got a Grammy like given to our department. I mean, the level of music department of music education that I had growing up was extraordinary. And I've made it my mission to try to make sure that other kids, can have that. But I never was the main part. I was always the supporting role. I was always dance troupe or like background. And so I didn't have the confidence because I was never given the opportunity after being in so many musicals, trying out every year. And so I didn't think I was like good enough to be like, oh, I can do this as a job and a career. And being in a community where growing up, you didn't really know anyone who did that. I didn't see anyone that I like looked up to that I was like, oh, I can do that,
Right. Right.
And so it was so far fetched. And because I never was the main part, not that it matters to be the main part, as I've learned, but back then when you're a kid, it's like you work so hard over the years to try to have that spotlight role, and then to never really get that, I'm like, well, I don't have this big booming operatic voice that calls for a lot of the main part stuff in musical theater productions.
Right.
My voice is more like raspy and airy and different than that kind of range that a main lead needs. So, but I learned being in Nashville, like that's what made me unique and what made me a strong artist. And so that was really cool to kind of see that trajectory of like, oh wow, like
yeah,
I can actually do this, and people appreciate that. But I had to learn how to not sing classically too, and
sure,
just be like
sure,
very chill. Which you can hear in my first album, a significant difference compared to like this album that is coming out.
Right.
In terms of how I sing. So, but my favorite musical, I love Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat. I love Music Man. There was a great production called Working where I did get a solo where I got to sing. I think that was like one of my first ones. I also did church choir, and I did get my first time ever singing a solo I was a Three King in like 3rd or 4th grade, and that was
okay.
Yeah. So, but I never got that like star confidence vibe.
Right.
So, but it's cool. I've done very well, and I guess it's not all about the voice these days. It's people want to like get to know the artists, and like, the songwriting aspect of it too is such a big part of it. So, yeah.
Well, and Brandon knows this about me because I did some musical theater in high school as well. And,
wow.
And Brandon already knows that my real breakout opportunity was when I came to Nashville and Tim McGraw said, yeah, you play well, but have you ever played the Cowardly Lion in The Wiz? To which I, of course, said yes. And that's what was my breakout in Nashville. So a lot of people don't know that was my in the country music industry.
I love that story. I guess we don't see Elizabeth on the screen.
Wait,
there
that's
she is.
Such a great story.
Well, it's not true. No.
Sorry, that's such a great story. I did not know that. And Tim, what do you say? Sorry, it cut out.
I said, well, it's not a true story, but it's a story. I did play the Cowardly Lion. I did play the Cowardly Lion, but no, that was not something that was required for my country music resume.
What was it like working for Tim McGraw? That must have been really cool.
Hey, it got me to Josh Gratian, which got me to Joe's, which helped me meet you. And Brandon, tell me this. Do you know anybody by name that sings with the London Opera?
I don't. I can't say I do. No.
See there? You've already crossed the new threshold, Elizabeth. We don't even know who sings for the London Opera. So
oh gosh.
You're in.
She's in, no doubt. We're going to play some music here on the show from Elizabeth Lyons. Again, the current single is Always across all the digital platforms. The music video comes out February 21st. I'd love to play the music video, or at least a piece of it, but I'm not getting dinged today, so I win, not you, Facebook, today. But we're going to play a little bit of a recent live performance of Elizabeth opening for Jimmy Allen and the great Jordan Davis. Here it is on the Backstage Pass, followed by a word from Bangtail Whiskey and MitchMax.com. We're coming back with more Backstage Pass with Elizabeth Lyons. Hang tight. Here's some music.
Thanks to that gentleman Jack, former frat party 2011. I was calling up my mama, telling her about the guy I wish I would've went with. But I didn't leave without his number. What do you know, the whole next summer we were riding around, making out, hanging all over each other. And that old champagne gold Range Rover, watching the sunset underneath that blanket, my head on your shoulder. Nowhere to be, just you and me. The seats laid back, dashboard feet, steal my breath again and again. You've been stuck in my head ever since the day we met.
Go behind the scenes with some of the biggest artists in music today with the Backstage Pass, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. Join Brandon Morrill and his co-host Kirsty Krause, Jeff McMahon, and Karen Lee Batten as they talk to rising stars and legends about their music careers. Listen to their latest tracks and learn fun facts about the men and women behind the music you love. And be sure to tune into the Backstage Pass Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, powered by the SportsGuysPodcast.com. And welcome into the Backstage Pass.
The Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
And a little sneak peek there with Elizabeth Lyons opening for Jimmy Allen and Jordan Davis there in a recent performance. Ever since the day we met, love that song. In fact, that's where I was going to go next with it. To open for artists like that, it's got to be breathtaking and probably mind-blowing at the same time, but also too beautiful song you guys came up with. Tell me the backstory of that ever since the day we met.
Thank you. Actually, small world, going back to how we started. Arthur Buenahora, who I had worked for at the publishing company interning when I was in college, is now with Eric Church's Little Louder Music publishing company, and I stayed in touch with him over the years, and he introduced me to one of his young songwriters, Jonathan Sherwood, and he and I wrote this song together, and I just basically was telling him about how I met my husband, and we met at a party called Gentleman Jack, and it was a formal in college, and I just, like, the song basically is just kind of like our storyline, and Jonathan beautifully kind of came up with, I remember he had said, thanks to that Gentleman Jack formal frat party 2011, I was calling up my mama, telling her about the guy I wish I would have went with. And I literally was like, and that was like kind of like my words, but he put together in a really cool way. And I was like, that's it. Like, we're writing this. And it went from there. And I've worked with Jonathan. He's actually written 3 of the 9 songs on the album. We do really well together, and I love his vibe and his play on words and rhythms and the way that he says things. It's just really cool.
And when you say the songs on the album, you're talking about the coming album, right? All the new stuff.
I always think like I always forget that like not everyone has heard everything. So,
yeah.
Yes, the album that's coming out. Thank you. It's called Ever Since the Day We Met, the album, and it's out on March 11th, 2022.
Okay.
And I tell you, y'all did keep busy last year. We're going to talk about Always here in a little bit, but I want to back up before that and talk about Edge and how just beautiful that song was too at the same time. Where did that kind of originate from?
So that came from, I was wrote that song with my friend Charlie Brennan, who I met in New York, and he's an amazing pianist and a pop artist. Just got a call. Can you see me?
I can.
Yeah.
Got you.
Well, and now you're gone. You were there. Now you're gone. And she's back.
Sorry, is it
Good. Yeah.
There you are.
Hello?
You're back with us. We got you.
Hello?
We got you here.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We sure can.
Hello?
She's not hearing us.
She's not hearing us. Uh-oh.
We hear you.
We do.
Can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
can. Yes, ma'am. We sure can.
Hello?
Yes, we hear you. All these technical troubles. Yes. Yeah.
All right.
See, the odd part is that she's not. I'm going to text
you guys
her.
Hear me?
We can. Yes, we can hear you. Yes, we sure can. I'll tell you what. Well, let me go ahead. I'll tell you what. I do want to play a video she just did. In fact, she sang the national anthem at the NBA's New Orleans Pelicans. So we're having those technical difficulties. We'll play that. It's Elizabeth Lyons. So you can check her out at ElizabethLyonsmusic.com. And, of course, get Always across all the digital platforms. The music video comes out February 21st, and then March there she mentioned the full-length album. We got you back. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We got you loud and clear. All right. Well, we lost her, so that's why. Yeah.
Yeah. I think what happened is when her phone cycled, it kicked the audio out of her, whatever she's listening through, back into the computer, and she's got to have to reset those settings. So I think when she reboots, obviously she logged out, she's coming back. So I think that's what's going to happen there.
Well, I'm gonna wait to play this video, but while we still got the audience, I do want to talk about how excited I am for CRS. I know you are too, because this is going to be
what's CRS. I have no idea. Don't know what you're talking about.
You're not well. It's this big event we're going to be a part of here in a couple of weeks as we get Elizabeth Lyons back here on the show. Folks that don't know, it's an amazing lineup of about 2.5 days of great interviews. From some great artists that have a lot of cool things to talk about at the Omni Hotel, February 23rd to 25th.
Right.
We're both going to be a part of it. Kirsty Krause, my first one. I think it's the first one back in about 2 years, but this is going to be a lot of fun. Just some guests I know we've got lined up so far for the people that are listening and tuned in. Exile, I mean, you can't go wrong with just a great group that's been around for a long time. Shenandoah, Marty Rabin, and Mike McGuire are going to drop by and spend a little time with us. Dallas Remington, Alyssa Bonagura, looking forward to meeting her, and so many of the top rising artists. Craig Campbell is going to make an appearance with us down there, and still people knocking on the door to get in with the limited spots we have left there. About 25 or 30 shows in about a 2.5 day period. So Elizabeth is back with us there. It was time to plug Country Radio Seminar, February 23rd to 25th at the Omni in Nashville. We'll be there. And Elizabeth, can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
I sure can.
This darn weather between monsooning here. What is it in Texas? Like snowing or something? I don't know what we're doing in Nashville, but.
All right. I wanted to tell people we were going to play. I tell you what, a recent performance that you did with the New Orleans Pelicans singing the national anthem. So let's do that. Give her time, work out those little bugs and kinks in the audio side of things there. We'll come back, talk about Edge, and of course the new single Always here on the Backstage Pass. So right now, a little bit of Elizabeth Lyons singing the national anthem here on the Backstage Pass. Enjoy this.
And now, tonight's national anthem is being performed by Elizabeth Lyons.
Bright stars through the
Bangtail pour is comprised of a sweet corn mash base. The front has a subtle sweetness and not too sharp. It has notes of a medium char or white oak for a smoky flavor in the middle, and the tail has a super smooth and warm finish.
A lot of fun there singing that national anthem there for the New Orleans Pelicans. I'm sure you had those chill bumps just all over. And tell me that experience. I mean, singing, just great. Our national anthem out there, and the feeling of just going through the emotions of standing out there at center court and doing your thing.
Yes, it's one of my favorite things to do is just honor our country and preserve the tradition of, singing such a beautiful song. And it's cool. It's been a dream come true to be able to sing at, I know that there's a baseball right behind you, and being somewhat of a baseball fan, I've gotten to sing at Fenway Park and Yankee Stadium and Wrigley Field. And I love it. It's just a dream come true, and just to be able to support and take a moment, I think in such a busy world that we live in, to just support our country and everyone fighting for it, and honor all of them is really, without them, where would we be? So I think it's really special to do that. And I'm just honored to be able to sing the song. And I, one of the first times I did it, I messed up. And so I, years ago, this had to have been 12 years ago at an AHL hockey game, and no one noticed except for people that knew me, but I started too high, and so I didn't hit one of the notes, but I've ever since then been very prepared and practicing before, and also just realizing not to be nervous, because I've just done it a million times, that now it's just I love it. It's the great adrenaline rush. And I just sing it traditionally too, which I think people seem to really like. So the way that it was written.
Well, I know that, getting real, maybe you've already got your screw up out of the way with the national anthem, because part of that adrenaline rush has to be the fact that more people go viral for their mistakes on the national anthem than anything. Now, but I think
totally. It's so true.
Yeah. And I know, I don't know you well, but I know my perception of you. People that know me know that I really beat the drum about practice and preparation. And so many people with the national anthem probably think, oh, I got this. I know this. I've sung it a lot, but I'm guessing you actually really even lock in having made that mistake that one time, right?
Yeah, and I always vocally warm up before, and I don't do that enough sometimes with my festival shows or stuff, but with the anthem, it's I'm taking 30 to 45 minutes to an hour to warm up to make sure that it comes out right.
Yeah. People are probably
a practicer. I've never been.
Well, I'm guessing people are probably a little more forgiving when you're doing #party rules.
Yeah, that's true. There are a few shots in.
Yeah.
Hey, back to, we got cut off there with the technical difficulties. Remind the audience kind of where Edge came from. Then we're going to kind of dive into Always, which is the current single, but kind of give me the backstory on Edge. I love that song.
Yeah. So I wrote that Edge with a songwriter who I'm obsessed with. He's also an artist, Charlie Brennan. And he was originally based out of New York, but now is in Nashville. I convinced him to move to Nashville. And you guys should look him up. He's got millions, bajillions of plays on Spotify. And he's a pop artist. And we decided to write a song about, making something more and being on the edge of being more than just friends. And my husband and I were friends for a few years before we started dating. And sometimes it can be kind of scary to be oh, are we more than friends, or what's going on here? But sometimes it's you're on the edge of something good, and you just got to jump right in and just make it happen. And, that could be the huge difference. So I hope this song like encourages people, like if they are on the edge of like saying how they feel to someone, like they should just do it, you know?
Sure.
I'm with you on
Well,
that. No doubt.
well, and we
And
had
also like, and the that song's a part of the Finding Love songs, and their whole album is made up of songs about love. But I broke it up into 3 chapters of like finding love, falling in love, and being in love. And I kind of wanted to show the evolution of like where I've been over the last 10 years. I've released a lot of songs like Party Rules that are not really insight on like my personal life. I think I was kind of more guarded and not as, I was in more of also a vulnerable place now that I've been married a few years, been with my husband for nearly 10. I almost wanted to kind of be more private about our relationship too. And so these songs I've written over the last decade, and I want to show that like I had a phase of life where I was struggling trying to find love, and then finding the love and that process of it, and kind of like the unknown of it, and then to the known of it, and falling in love and being in love, and that joy that comes with it, and kind of that growth, to try to give people hope, because all my music I try to have that little sprinkle of, you know, sunshine. So yeah.
well, we had in advance of the interview, we actually did a Twitter poll about what was your favorite Elizabeth Lyons song about finding love. And we did get a lot of hits for hashtag Party Rules, which I didn't know that was a finding love song. Luke Bryan got a lot of traffic. Luke Bryan got a lot of traffic, which maybe there's a story there that we don't know, but definitely got a lot of interest in Champagne, which was one of I remember actually being in a recording studio at one point where I saw the album cover for that. And I was like, oh, Elizabeth, she still owes me coffee. But we did get a little feedback from a fan about Champagne, and I know that did really well for you. So we're going to share their feedback, and then you can tell us about the song.
Hey guys, Troy Castellano here. Man, it's great to see Elizabeth on the podcast today. I remember we wrote a really cool song called Champagne, and Elizabeth put that out as a single. We wrote that with Brett Mandel as well, and it reached #1 on the iTunes country charts. We watched it climb that whole day or the day after, but man, that was a really cool experience. Keep up the great work, Elizabeth, and hope to write with you in the future again. All right, peace.
So Troy Castellano is a friend of mine, and he had I had told him, I said, well, Elizabeth's coming in. Weren't you involved in that? And he said, yeah. He said, we actually wrote that song, and I've done that monitoring, the watching of the where's it going, where is it on the charts. So talk about Champagne and watching that move up the charts as that was coming out that day.
Yeah, I love Troy. That was such a fun write, and he's such a great writer, and so supportive. And if you guys want to give to a good cause, he also is started his own foundation for Instruments for Education, which you can donate instruments, where he brings them to students in the area who need instruments. So be sure to do that. But so we wrote this. I love Champagne, and so I came into the write with the idea of like, I want to write a song about champagne. And so we did, and Troy was so awesome, and it's just such a happy guy. And so it was like, what better person to write it with than Brett Mandel, who's also very positive. And then I had this great idea for a music video, which is like why I am where I am today. In the beginning of the interviews, I produced all my music videos over the last, like, I've done like produced 10 music videos. And so we shot this fun music video with Adam Dufresne and Louis Aboya, who I've worked with since. And we like filmed at, I think, 3 different locations around New York City. And I had my friends in the video, and we were just celebrating life, getting ready, and then going to a club and drinking champagne. And the music video went to #1 on the iTunes charts for country music. And I'm not sure, I can't remember how high it went up on all genre, but it was very high. And, you know, it was just a dream come true. It was how powerful word of mouth marketing truly is. And, you know, I can't thank enough Troy and Brett for also posting and recruiting all of their friends to buy the music video. And that was like people buying a music video, which people don't really do, even buy music anymore. So that was cool.
I love it. No, great song, no doubt. And hey, I got to get this before I get into a little rapid fire with you, but want to talk about Always, because that's coming up on the new album you mentioned there in March, but it's out as a single now. And then looking back, the music video we talked about, which we couldn't show today because of the whole Facebook thing, it's coming out February 21st for Always. Tell me about this song and how much this means to you, because I can tell the songs that you're really going to put out on this album kind of personally. You've got some cool stories behind them, right?
Yeah, I love this music video. It's one of my favorites. I got 2 up-and-coming actors who play a character, Caroline and Luke, which is kind of full circle to my Luke Bryan song y'all mentioned earlier. And yeah, it's about this boy who is super into music, and all he wants to do is play his saxophone, and he meets this girl, Caroline, who lightens him up and shows him that there's more to life than music. And because they are living life, his music is that much better. And I've always wanted a saxophone solo, and having spent time in New Orleans over this last COVID years, I've fallen in love with horns and jazz music, and wanted to kind of put a little disco Motown horn section into country songs. So we did that. And it comes out February 21st, and there'll be a preview of it on my Instagram on Valentine's Day, which is the week before.
Ooh, like that. Yep.
See, did you hear all that intention that she has? All those plans, all that's all mapped out. See, that's how she rolls. That's how she rolls. I want to ask you about this, Elizabeth.
Exactly.
I heard you somewhere talk about this, and I wanted you to expand on it a little bit. Specifically, you were talking at the time about the song "Settle Down, Chicago," and I'm wondering, when everything shut down. I'm a piano player. When everything shut down and we couldn't go anywhere, I found that I don't play other instruments. I play a little bit of guitar, but when I was stuck at home, I found myself behind the piano a lot more. And I've heard you sort of talk about it, but I'm thinking there's probably a little more to the story about you kind of reconnecting to the piano. Maybe it's because you were home more, therefore you were playing more. Is that going to be present in the rest of the record? Am I reading that correctly? Uh-oh. She's afraid to answer. I struck a nerve.
Struck a nerve. Man,
I struck a nerve.
Yeah, it's
because a lot of times, you know, what I was curious about, Brandon, was a lot of times, there she is. A lot of times you wind up doing all this stuff guitar driven because you're on the move all the time. And I know that when I got home and I was couldn't go anywhere, I just wound up behind the piano a lot more. And it was like, I'm home. I'm kind of like that. And I'm thinking, I heard you talk about that song, but I'm thinking maybe that's part of the story behind this whole record that's coming out.
Yeah, piano is predominant in every single song on this album. And it's really because of what you said. Like, I went back to my roots of like what makes me happy, which is the piano. And I think when I moved to Nashville, everyone encouraged me to play guitar and thought I was crazy for bringing a keyboard, schlepping a keyboard around. You know, I'm sure, Jeff, you've done that. You show up to a co-write
Oh, yeah.
and you're bringing your keyboard in and everyone's rolling their eyes. And so I kind of like lost myself. That was one of the biggest things, was like thinking that I had to play guitar, or that a poppy, fun country song had to be on guitar and that it couldn't be on piano. And it's like,
Right.
no, like how many, like one of my favorite songs, Roar by Katy Perry, is just like piano. Like, and so I, over the years, I think I've gotten back to that with my recent music, Epiphany in 24 and Brave Enough. But this album, I wanted piano to be fully prominent in every song, because that's what I grew up playing and that's what I grew up loving. And that's really where I feel like myself. And I wanted to start off the album also showing the dichotomy of how I grew up and have grown as an artist. The first Finding Love chapter is all very raw and stripped back, very just piano and voice and maybe a few other things there, but to then build to more of a more produced section in Finding Love, to then like big production in the Being in Love part of it, and kind of just showing like where I started, which, Jeff, I'm sure as you know, like when you're starting off, you don't have a lot of money to invest in demos. And so I would just do guitar vocals or keyboard vocals. And so I wanted to kind of show that that's what these songs, and because the fact that they're so raw, that's what people fell in love with, is the rawness of them, but also wanted to show how much I've grown in terms of like loving to produce a track and make it full and big, with elements like, you know, that I also love, which is like an electric guitar or saxophone, you know? So, yeah, I'm happy that you noticed that.
Yeah, no, I definitely heard it well. And, you know, when you compare it to the much lighter stuff that's like you've got, I can't think of the song right now. One of them's got this really cool kind of Cool in the Gang kind of funk guitar rhythm thing. I can't think which song it is. But yeah, when you contrast it to some of those, it definitely feels like not only does it feel like it came more out of a piano, but it feels more like the strength, the physicality, the difference of standing playing on a synthesizer versus sitting and belonging in front of that. And
Right.
it just feels more to me. I would think there's a confidence in the idea even of what you're writing about when you're in that place, in the same way that when you're standing on a stage with musical theater, you can stand like this, or you can stand like this, and one is very
Right.
different than the other. Yeah.
Completely. Yeah, I think, and I think too, like it needs to be like, it doesn't have to just be, there's so many different genres within country, and I think country is going to be moving into that, more of that direction. And I think it'd be cool, I've always said this, to have a spotlight on artists that play piano too, because let's face it, I feel like more of a younger generation are learning piano over guitar. And I think, you know, looking up like to someone like, you know, it would be cool to have that. And I like that the industry is supporting artists like Ingrid Andress and who is playing keyboard. And so it's, I hope that there's more of that.
I wonder if, you know, and I know this probably sounds like Jeff and Elizabeth talking pianos.
Sorry.
But because you kind of,
It's all good.
No, but because I'd not thought about the fact that more people are picking up on that, and maybe they are. I'm guessing it's because of the whole advent of computers. You can trigger things with keyboards. You can trigger things, which there's fewer options to do that with a guitar. It also reminded me, am I right? Was one of your first opening slots for Phil Vassar, who's a piano player?
My first one.
Yeah.
That was my first one.
Yeah, who's clearly, piano-driven, very successful songwriter, good dude. So, yeah, I'm guessing go piano.
Yeah,
Who knew?
he's the best.
Who knew it was going to become cool?
I love this.
Yeah,
One of my.
I know. I hope. And Lady Gaga, I feel like her success of has been so piano driven, and so I hope that there's more than that. More artists are doing that. I've noticed Dan and Shay are playing more on the piano, and Florida Georgia Line. I know it looks like Tyler's been learning piano, so it's cool.
It's a cool thing. Well, I tell you, what's good about this, Elizabeth, is we actually get listeners from down under, all the way from Australia. And one of my avid listeners here, Jan, always tunes in, and I said, I love it. There you go. So I am good with it. Interesting and good and fun. That's what this show's all about. Not to be serious, just have a good time, no doubt. So Piano Talk is always welcome here on the
Jan,
Backstage
Australia
Pass. So.
rocks.
Thanks, Jan.
I can't wait to get over there one day, no doubt. Hey, tell me about this. I'm going to jump into rapid fire. What do you like to do for fun, Elizabeth, away from music?
Oh, my goodness. So many things. I love to go on walks. I'm a big walker. I love to watch TV shows, hence why I'm in this industry. I've always loved TV and movies. That's what I do a lot on my free time. I love to ski. I love to boat. I love to swim. I love to play tennis. Yeah.
A little bit of everything, which is good there. All right, so you're in New Orleans, so you've got to do Cafe du Monde. You got to get the coffee and the beignets there, because that's just a staple of New Orleans. So you get a couple of sacks, take it back to the crew.
There's a Cafe du Monde at the airport, and it's dangerous.
That's a dangerous thing.
And when you go to the airport and you pass the Cafe du Monde, you'll be coming back to Nashville, right? Just saying.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I need to be. Hopefully soon, definitely. I didn't realize how many calories are in a beignet until recently, and I was like, oh, that's why I'm a little up on my weight, because I've been having them so much lately.
Oh well.
But they have you get a free cup that is like a large, like if you get the large, you get a free like plastic cup, which is very popular here in New Orleans. So if you guys are coming through, make sure you get that.
Got it.
One of my favorite things to do. All right, speaking of food, let's just do this one. When it comes to your go-to dish, or if it's your cooking or a takeout dish, and we'll add a beverage to it, what's kind of a go-to dish for you and a beverage?
My favorite takeout dish would be everything bagel toasted with scallion cream cheese. And if there's a jalapeno cream cheese, I like that on the side with a large Diet Coke with ice.
That even sounds good now. See, Jeff, there's a couple of breakfast items when I'm there in Nashville with you. We can't get into the Waffle House, so we got to get down to the Omni. We'll just get some bagels, slap some cream cheese on it, and have a Diet Coke and some coffee.
And you know what? You know what's great about that answer is that it's an answer. That's so much better than I don't care. Whatever. It's like, this is what I want. This is where I want it on the plate. This is where
you gave a great answer, Elizabeth. You really did. Specifics, I like that. Specifics on the show.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you for a second. It cut out, so I don't know what was said, but I'm sure it was great.
No, so you're giving specifics on the breakfast items, like the bagel, the cream cheese, the Diet Coke, and Jeff and I were saying, instead of one of those, I don't know what I want. Yeah. You're just very, down to earth. You know what you want.
I know. I mean, I heard Waffle House, but then I didn't know what that was. But I know my husband loves to go to Waffle House.
I was telling Jeff, if we couldn't get to Waffle House, we'll have to go to the store there in Nashville before we get down to do our thing and get some bagels, cream cheese, and put it on there, and just get a couple of cans of Diet Coke. And I know, Jeff, we can make coffee. I've got a little Keurig that I bring with me too, or whatever. But I just
Let's
think
do
there'll
it.
be backup items if you bring. And Jeff was wanting some beignets brought back from New Orleans. If you want to bring some to us at the Omni when we're there for the week of CRS, feel free to drop them off.
Okay. Well, they're not very good if they're not hot.
Yeah,
that's the one
true.
thing.
Yeah.
They kind of
Don't
stink.
travel.
They get soggy. I've tried. I know these things.
Yeah, you're right. They get soggy. They're not very good. I left some in the car one time, and I got up smelling the next morning. I threw them away, and it was didn't turn out to get real.
You can't. You have to eat them hot and piping hot. So you guys are gonna have to come visit me, and when I play French Quarter Fest,
Ooh,
April I think 21st is in New Orleans.
Okay.
So
Nice.
okay. I have to do that too. I'm only you're down here again. I'm only about 4.5 hours away from the Big Easy down there. So here in Texas, so I may just get over there and scoot over for that performance. You never know. So it'd be
nice.
Great
Love
thing
Texas.
there too as well. All right, I want to finish with this one because I always pull this out. Is there kind of you travel a lot of places, being an artist, play a lot of stages, but if there was a stage you haven't stepped on that you're like, man, this is kind of like the dream performance, what 2 or 3 stages would that be?
The Grand Ole Opry.
I like that answer. That's
Someday, maybe.
a big one.
Hopefully.
That's what our guest said yesterday, Brandon Davis. And I said, I'm going to make a prediction. Brandon Davis, and I said that bold Elizabeth Lyons on the Grand Ole Opry one day. I'll throw it out there. There you go. So it's said here. And Jeff McMahon will be like, he'll get the gavel and say,
yeah, if you guys know anybody, tell them about me.
I sure will, no doubt about it. I love the music, and the story is very courageous, and definitely the meaning of perseverance, believing in yourself, and never going against that. Always is the single across all the digital platforms. Check her out at ElizabethLyonsMusic.com. Elizabeth, thanks for the time. Enjoy New Orleans. Stay safe, stay warm. And if you're there the week of the 21st in Nashville, don't be a stranger. Come by and say hello.
Oh, great. Yeah, I need to send y'all some Cafe Du Monde coffee. That will make us even, Jeff.
There you go. There you go.
There you go. The coffee's been paid.
Send me y'all's address.
We sure will. Talk to you guys tomorrow on the Backstage
Thank
Pass.
y'all so much for having me. This has been
You
great.
got it. Awesome. Elizabeth Lyons here. We'll talk to you guys tomorrow on the Backstage Pass. Until then, have a great night.